wanted to talk today about lack and limitation because I'm sure we've all had a time where we think, well, someone owes us, or we feel that we've been hard done to in some way. So, for instance, I grew up thinking that I should have had things different. I believed that I should not have grown up the way that I did, and that I should have received more love because children shouldn't have had to experience what I did, and that I should have had different clothes that were brand names, and I should have had horse riding lessons and been able to have a horse, and I believed I should have had clothes that weren't from second-hand shops or hand-me-downs, and I should have not received the treatment that I did in comparison to other children who didn't receive the treatment that I was subject to. So I was a really angry young teenager with a whole belief system that was built around my anger, that said that I was lacking love, care, attention, and being seen and being heard, and I needed to be seen and I needed to be heard, and I was just so angry and I just felt so alone. I had a huge amount of lack and limitation in my mindset, and the lack, the feeling of lack, the feeling of not enoughness and not getting enough prevented me from rising and prevented me from reaching my whole potential, because I believed I wasn't enough. I believed in the stories that people told me, and I believed it because the actions of other people, the things that other people did, seemed to reinforce my self-belief. So I was bullied, I was thrown out at 15 and lived on the streets. Not many people liked me. People, took the mick. They took advantage of me over and over and over again, and I didn't understand why or how this could possibly happen. I thought, I'm a nice person, I go around, I do things for other people, I love other people. Like, why are people so cruel? I was so angry underneath all of that, that confusion had turned to anger in my teenage years. And even as I continued, because I just thought, well, I'll continue to be me, but I'll be careful who I'm me with. And I was so careful to only choose certain people, but the people that I chose, that I thought, oh, it's all right, because if I just trust this person, then they won't shit on me and it will be all right, because I'll love them and they'll love me back. But I still had this undertone, I still had this feeling inside that told me that I wasn't enough, that told me that life wasn't worth living. And the amount of times that I contemplated suicide and indeed tried to take my life was pretty intense. And because of that, I grew up with a huge load of resentment, and I was quite passive aggressive. And although I was calm on the outside and caring, I couldn't let people in. I was so scared to be hurt, and if I let them in, it was a rare thing indeed. So as life progressed and I continued to have this mindset that people owed me, I continued to have the same problems. I seemed to lose everything that came into my life. The amount of times that I ended up losing everything apart from what I was stood up in. I never lost my daughter, although things came close. And kept pushing through, but not for me, for the sake of other people. When I had my stroke, I recognised that actually it was my language, my inner language, how I spoke to myself, kept me in that place. And when I recognised that actually, when I've given something, I've just given it. I had to stop that expecting things back. Like, just because you do something for someone does not mean it's coming back in that way. That's not universal law. Universal law says when you do something, what you put out, it comes back. But it's not so black and white, even though it is. It's both and. So you put something out into the world, exactly what you put out doesn't come back in exactly the same way. It comes back in so many different ways. Things return to us through the art of circulation. So things come back into our life from flow, and we can prevent that coming in because we can prevent the people, the places and the things coming into our life, because we're coming from a fear set of lack and limitation and worry, unconscious praying for the things that we don't want in our lives. As I've evolved and been recognising my language and how my language spells things, I'm able to pull things back in, and I recognise more and more the power that I contain within myself to hold a higher vibration, like raise my vibration, hold a higher frequency, and to be open to allow myself, which it takes a whole load of courage to open ourselves to the people, places and things that are out there, because you never know what blessings they will give us or what time in our life, because we're all connected and everything's connected. None of that made sense. It's took till then to get to now to recognise all of this, and a whole lot of studying and practising metaphysics. Something I do every day. I'm not just a reverend of metaphysics. I don't just tell people about it and say, do this, do that. No. I live my life every day using my life as a vessel, as the ship, as the boat that's going to carry me. And on my journey through all the things that happen, all the circumstances, all the events, they bring in grace. Grace is not just love, but grace is it's like a wrecking ball that comes in and hits us smack on, like right in the face. It's this, when a crazy situation enters our life, like having a stroke, getting like a diagnosis of something that could be life-threatening, losing our job, losing our home, it's all grace. Having people die that we weren't expecting to die. I mean, life is so impermanent and everything is grace. So it doesn't look like love, does it? Grace does not look like what we think that love should look like. We assume that love is all flowery, pretty, fantastically loving and like, oh, happy, clappy and fluffy. Well, love's not like that. Love is grace. Love is universal law. Love is the fierce, the protective, the caring, the tough love. And when grace comes into our lives, it forces change, and we either change for, well, we always change for, we can't help but change from where we were at to a new version of ourselves, but sometimes our change is not for necessarily the better. It's taken the long way around, because we're not using our lesson or our life or our experience as an opportunity for growth. So when we're able to see like how being nice to people without boundaries is a lack of self-love, we're able to see that people owing us, we're not aware, we're not aware of the true circumstances to why there was a lack or limitation at that earlier time of our lives. We're not able to see into the minds of those people that treat us in a certain way, so we're not able to see with compassion. And yet when we look at the world through compassionate eyes, we're able to see that love beyond all understanding, which is a love which means that actually those people that hurt me, that caused harm, were also doing the best they could with what they had, based on what they knew was best, based on their belief systems. And let's face it, belief systems can really suck. Like, there is so many belief systems in the world that, wow, like, that tell us that it's okay to go to war, that it's okay to hurt other people, that it's okay because it's in the name of something else. You see, our belief systems can stop us loving in the way that we were born to love. When we're born, we're not born with eyes that discriminate. We're born to be curious and to investigate our world. Now, as adults, when we're curious and we investigate the world which we're in, we're able to see so much clearer, and we don't take it personally. There's only a time in our lives, I think around the age of 7, where we start thinking, hold on, you know, before that we're not thinking it's us at all, and then after that we think, because before that age we're just, if I do this behaviour results in that, and that keeps me safe. That's all what's going on in our subconscious brains. Whereas when we get older, we start thinking, well, if someone's doing that, it's my fault. It's my fault, and it's, what can I do? How can I change this? How can I help? You know, how can I make things better? But we're told by society that, you know, things are other people's fault, and it's like compensation culture, which is ridiculous, because it takes away our power, because it stops us from being responsible and taking accountability. When we're responsible for our own shit, we can take accountability. We take responsibility for our thoughts and our feelings. So yeah, okay, so I feel like this is the circumstance where I feel hurt, I feel targeted, I feel separate. And when I feel separate, what is it that's stopping me loving right now? Where's the truth in what is the barrier? What is the barrier in which I am preventing me from growing? So we're returning to a place of love where we're able to just doing our best to be more compassionate, more aware, raising that awareness of self and other. A really good practice for this is metta, because metta meditation enables us to see that I am you and you are me. We are both human beings, and as such we both, you and I, we hurt. We want to be seen, we want to be loved, We want to be validated. We want to feel important. We want to have a purpose, because otherwise life just doesn't feel right, you know. And we want to be healthy, and we all get scared. And by practicing metta, we're able to recognize that even in, I don't even have enemies now. I used to think, oh, it was me and them, us and them, or me and them, or the world against me. But actually now I see I'm working with what I got on the awareness, or with the awareness that I have. And that awareness enables me to empower myself to work through where I'm at, and to grow in love, to be open to more. And by opening to more, I see there's less and less lack. There's less there is no lack of love in this world. There are people who are so heavily armoured with such heavy belief systems that they are not able to tune into that loving part of themselves, because no one's recognising it in them, no one's helping them see it in themselves. And yet we all contain that capacity for love, you know. And we all have such a, you know, we all have our inner child, and that inner beautiful, vulnerable, loving, curious parts of ourselves. And we all have that inner critic excuse me, that gives us a hard time. And we're our own worst critic. And through loving and meeting the world with compassion, we're able to see that we're able to get out of our own way. We're able to stop limiting ourselves to the wondrous world of abundance that we live in. We're able to take ourselves from homeless, from jobless, from moneyless, to and having nothing, to a world of existence where we're living heaven on earth. Like, so much is possible in this world of abundance. So much is possible. Like, somehow we always get there, don't we? All our needs are always met. So even though it doesn't seem like that, all our needs somehow are always miraculously met through some act of grace, which is love. So I come today to encourage you to look for the grace, try and open up to it, and learn to trust yourself, because through doing that you're able to open yourself up to the wondrous world that's waiting for you right here, right now. Love.